रेडी। पहले जो डिक्टेशन लिखेंगे वो आपको मिलेगी नीचे SSC C&D ग्रेड टेस्ट 88 YouTube@100 नेक्स्ट 80 पे बोलूँगा। आपके पास दोनों ऑप्शन है इसके अंदर, कोई 80 और 100 जो भी आपका एग्जाम उसके हिसाब से टाइप करेंगे। आप इसको सॉफ्टवेयर पे टाइप कर सकते हो। आप इसको पहले 100 पे लिखेंगे। Start it. Sir, several questions raised regarding the Defense Ministry and the External Affairs and Irrigation Ministries have been clarified by my colleagues from those ministries. My task therefore has been simplified to that extent, but I go to the questions financial and economic raised by several honorable members. I should like to clarify one or two points which are more administrative than economic or financial. One of them was raised by my honorable friend. He raised the question about the recruitment by the Assistant Superintendent's Departmental Competitive Examination and particularly about the examination held in 2010. He said that about rupees 6 crores were spent for the 2010 examination and later it was declared that no vacancies were available. He therefore suggested that a definite procedure should be there and the examination should be held according to the vacancies declared in advance, and all persons who have qualified in that examination should be eligible for promotion or for appointment. Sir, I don't know whether the honorable member knows how these vacancies are filled. He probably refers to the section officer's grade in the Central Secretariat Service. This is filled 50% by direct recruitment and 25% by departmental competitive examination open to the assistants, that is the next lower grade, and the rest 25% by promotion of the assistants on the basis of seniority subject to fitness. The examination therefore that he was referring to was a departmental competitive examination for filling 25% of the vacancies. It takes about 1 year for the Union Public Service Commission to declare the results of the examination from the time they take up the question of the examination. It is not therefore possible to declare the number of vacancies to be filled in from the very beginning. To declare them just when the results are out is more realistic, and that is what is done. Sir, if the examination is treated as qualifying examination, the number of persons who will thus become eligible for appointment will be quite unrelated to the number of vacancies to be filled in, and then the very situation which the honorable member wishes to avoid would arise. It would not then be possible to hold any of the examinations at regular intervals, and promotions against this quota would become very fitful. The honorable member also suggested that the rules for recruitment and promotion etc. should be uniform for all ministries, whether participating in the Central Secretariat Service scheme or not. It must be, and this is so except for the Ministry of External Affairs and the Railways. These have different rules, but these rules are very much similar and there is not much difference. But because these persons are recruited for different purposes and by different agencies, they are separate. Therefore, his purpose in saying this, that there should be uniformity, is almost carried out. The only difference is that the Ministry of Home Affairs does not control the services in these two ministries. Then, sir, questions were raised about backward areas and the backward states, and also about the city of Kolkata. If the budget is properly scrutinized, it would be found that assistance is provided for the states, particularly the backward states, and the Finance Commission, which assesses the overall requirements of the states, takes this into consideration and makes its recommendations, which are carried out every time the Finance Commission's recommendations are received, and they are received periodically according to the Constitution. Sir, I would like to give the total amount paid to the states on this account. The main objective of planning is to create conditions in which living standards are raised in a sufficiently reasonable level, and all citizens are given full and equal opportunity for growth and service. The plans seek to provide a balanced emphasis on increase in production and employment. The development plans are thus accepted as the means for ensuring equitable development in the field of social services. There is no reason to suppose that the needs of the less fortunate or prosperous states are being neglected, but it would not be proper to expect that all these differences could be wiped out now immediately. It must be seen whether we are going towards that very end or not. We are deliberatively going towards that end, and we hope and trust that in course of time these inequalities would be wiped out. If not completely wiped out, at any rate they would be lessened. My honorable friend complained about inadequate provision included in the plan for meeting the growing requirements of the city of Calcutta, where even the basic services like water supply, sewage disposal, and drainage were not being augmented, and that the central government was not enthusiastic about solving these difficulties. I have no intention of giving a certificate about which my honorable friend Dr. Krishna Swamy was talking some time ago. Since anything like a certificate being given by any member of the business community is likely to be misunderstood. But the fact remains that impartial observers both here and abroad have testified to the soundness and stability of our finances, which have successfully withstood severe stresses and strains of the changing economic factors, both national and international, and for this the fullest possible credit is due to the wise handling of the situation by our present finance minister. There have been criticisms on both sides. Some have described the budget as pro-big business, as something which has brought about a boom in the stock exchange, and as something which has brought about satisfaction in the business circles. The fact is that if there has been any satisfaction, it has been due purely to negative features of the budget and not because any positive relief in any direction has been given to business or industry. It is true that there were certain fears in the minds of the business community that in view of the expanding and growing needs of the center, the finance minister might resort to certain further additional taxation, and since those fears were not realized, there has been some slight recovery in certain stock exchanges, but that does not in the least mean that whatever relief and legitimate relief was due to the business and industrial community has received any adequate response from the finance minister. ये आपको टेस्ट नंबर 88 के नाम से मिल जाएगा. मैंने 80 लिखा क्या? गलत लिखा. SSC C D टेस्ट नंबर 80 और 100 की स्पीड है. फ्लक्चुएशन इसके अंदर जो है वही 7 से 8 वर्ड के आसपास की फ्लक्चुएशन है. 80 पे लिखेंगे आप नेक्स्ट कंटेंट. ये अपलोडेड है ऑलरेडी. वो पावर स्विच ऑन कर लेना सारे, वो तब जाकर चलेगा. रेडी? Start it. Madam, with regard to free and compulsory education, I would like to say that the states which are giving free education have not realized, and the center also has not realized that merely not charging fees does not mean giving free education. The cost of textbooks, the often changed textbooks, the cost of paper material, and the compulsion about using paper and pencil or paper and ball pen right from the primary stage, the cost of uniforms, the cost in respect of games, fees, all this comes to so much that the words free education become a mockery. It is much better to say that the government is not giving free education. The same is the state of affairs about scholarships. I went to a district headquarters to find out that information could be passed on up to the village level about the various scholarships and facilities available right from the center to the state, and you would be surprised, Madam, that the central district authority of the place or even the headquarters authority of the place is not at all aware that there are scholarships available not only to the sections of students which I do not want to repeat, but also to the children of the defense personnel and the children of the railway personnel. I can say here that one can almost challenge the Education Ministry to produce an overall picture within a week's time and show that what are the requirements of compulsory education in the whole country as far as funds are concerned and how much is being spent. I come to the point of lack of coordination. The Education Ministry does not know that there are very many scholarships today open to children of the personnel employed under the various ministries. For example, the Defense Ministry, the Railways, the Labor Ministry, and various other ministries of that type. Only if all those resources are pooled together and a complete picture of educational expenditure is taken, will they be able to say what expenditure is being incurred, what facilities are available, and what scholarships are available. I would therefore like to say that it was very heartening to hear only this morning on Doordarshan that the Prime Minister had reiterated that there would be no reduction in the expenditure on health and education because these are very important organs of development of a nation. Time and again, we are assured by the government that there will not be any curtailment in the expenditure on education at the primary stage and on women's education. But if you look at the budgets made available to the Social Welfare Board, to the National Council for Women's Education, and to various other agencies too, you will find that there is drastic curtailment. What happens is that as the policy goes on changing every couple of years, people lose all confidence in the government's sincerity about delivering anything on a long-term basis. I would refer to one example, and that is about the policy originally determined to train midwives through the Health Ministry and the Social Welfare Board. The Health Ministry had assigned this task to the Social Welfare Board, and later on it was found that there was not enough employment potential and the scheme was withdrawn. I would therefore point out that not only it is necessary to have coordination in matters of development of defense production, but also it is more essential to have coordination in important matters in the 6 ministries, that is labor, railways, health, community development, agriculture, which ministry was also training Gram Sevikas for the spread of information about nutrition, and the Education Ministry, which has the Social Welfare Board, etc. It is also necessary to have coordination about the cinema. I mean the Information and Broadcasting Ministry. people do not realize what an important part that ministry is playing and can play in regard to education. Also, that ministry does not know what havoc it is playing because it is very lenient about censorship and for what? For fear of the high courts taking them to task through some decree against them. Let them do whatever they like, but I am quite sure that the high courts will not go outside the constitution, which gives them special powers, even against Article 29 and others about the freedom of expression and all that. Therefore, the Information and Broadcasting Ministry should realize that visual education through films which depict crime and all other things is very harmful to young, immature and juvenile minds, and it should take the advice of coordination or help of the psychological experts and of the Education Ministry and decide what films should be shown and what not. After all, you cannot carry on propaganda of one type and expect the country suddenly to produce citizens of a model type. I would refer to another matter, and that is where also coordination is required. It is about the ministries of mines and fuel and commerce and industry. ये कंटेंट आपको 80 की स्पीड में बोला गया है और ये आपको SSC C D ग्रेड टेस्ट नंबर 80 के नाम से मिल जाएगा। कंटेंट अच्छा है, काफ़ी ज़्यादा अच्छा है, मिनिस्ट्रीज काफ़ी सारी कवर की गई है, वर्ड्स भी सारे अच्छे हैं। अगर आपने इसको बेस्ट लिखा तो उसको टाइप करो।